The Chinese yuan has overtaken the euro to become the second most used currency in the global marketplace. Last year, its share of world trade was just over 1% compared to the euro's almost 8%. The yuan has now reached almost 9%, leaving the euro way behind. Well, for some perspective on this, let's cross live to Keith Boyfield from the Centre for Policy Studies. Thanks very much for coming on to the programme, Mr. Boyfield. We now understand that the yuan is ahead of the euro as the world's second currency. What does this show us, do you think?
I think what you're seeing is that Chinese investors are wanting to diversify away, particularly from the US dollar. You've got to remember that China is the largest holder of US Treasury bills, and they got a nasty fright this year when you saw Congress not really able, until the very last minute, to agree a budget package. And what you're seeing here in London, for example, is the Chinese investing in a lot of property, commercial property. They've bought, for example, the Lloyd's building here in London, and they're beginning to acquire an awful lot of major brands such as Volvo and even MG Rover, the iconic car company here in Britain.
So do you think we can expect the yuan to get even more popular then? What sort of growth could we expect in the future?
Yes, well, yes. You also have to remember that some of the biggest sovereign wealth funds are based in China, and all the time you're seeing they're wanting to diversify their risk, and they're also wanting to invest overseas. China, for example, now has a 20% stake in Standard Bank, which is the largest bank in Africa, and there's a huge wave of investment going into Africa, particularly in terms of oil, gas, and minerals. So China all the time is looking around the world to really sort of invest in more and more assets.
And what do you think could be the repercussions for the global economy? I mean, we've seen David Cameron in China at the moment. Do you expect to see more world leaders trying to sweet talk the Chinese to get more trade deals?
Yeah, because they're following the money, and China is one of the major investors in the world. Also, significant things are happening in terms of relaxation on, for example, insurance companies in China. As a result of a change in the law, insurance companies are now in China able to start investing in commercial property around the world. So whereas before they were tending to invest just in the domestic economy, now they're investing overseas, and they're trying to invest outside America, because, as I say, they've got rather a nasty fright this year with the inability of American politicians to sort out their public expenditure program.
And so how far away are we from the yuan, from perhaps replacing the US dollar then as the major currency that the world uses?
Well, I think you'll see the gap closing, and I think that simply in terms of trade, and another extremely important thing will be how the WTO meeting goes in Bali later this week, and if they can actually achieve some agreement on the Doha round, then I think you're going to see a tremendous acceleration in trade, and that means a lot of investment coming from China. And also the Brits, for example, are selling a tremendous range of goods and services into China. British goods and fashion are extremely popular in China, so we're likely to see an increase in trade there.
And just finally, Keith, when could you expect the yuan to rival the US dollar? Because that is king, isn't it? We shouldn't expect that to change anytime soon.
Yes, but if I knew that, I'd be a very rich man, and I don't think I'm going there.
All right. Okay,
whatever I predict, I suspect might prove wrong.
All right, thank you very much, Keith. We do have to leave it there. That's Keith Boyfield, the research fellow from the Research Fellow, the Centre for Policy Studies. Thank you.